Howdy, howdy guys, this is Winweave from Margaritaville Guild taking another look at the alpha client for Warlords of Draenor. In this video I want to talk all about Mistweaver Monks. I don't know if you guys remember them. They used to be good, they've been terrible for a long time, and they may actually be good again, making a comeback. So I want to talk all about the changes Blizzard has in store for Mistweavers, walk you through that. Pretty excited about those changes. And so a few things we're going to talk about are the stance options you now have, the access to abilities in those stances. A few abilities actually change depending upon what stance you're in. You got some great level 100 talent choices, and then the fact that Eminence or Fistweave healing may actually be viable in this expansion. So pretty excited about a lot of those things. So let's jump right into the first thing, most prominent thing that you'll notice is that you now have an option when choosing which stance to go into. One that you're probably familiar with and I just hopped over into is the stance of the Wise Serpent. So currently this ability in MOP gives you 20% additional healing, gives you hit and expertise based off of your spirit, gives you extra haste from your haste on items, and then also gives you that eminence or damage equals a percentage healing ability for 25% of the damage you deal. So that's what it currently is. For Warlords of Draenor, almost all of that has been stripped away. Some of it's just not needed anymore. Others, I guess they just decided to split up into two different stances. So the only thing that remains is that your healing done is increased by 20% while you're in that stance. You do gain access to one new ability while in that stance, and that's that your Crackling Jade Lightning now costs no mana and grants 1 stack of Mana Tea if you channel it for its full duration. So that's going to be pretty sweet in raids where you have a little bit of healing downtime. You want to put in a little extra damage and save up some Mana Tea for later on. What is this wolf doing, by the way? He's just like taunting me to kill him. Anyway, moving on. So that's the stance of the Wise Serpent. You guys are pretty familiar with that. You still have access to all your primary heals that you did in MOP. Nothing really new there apart from your level 100 talent choice. We'll be going over here in a second. As I was healing, it was pretty much the same thing. Soothing Mist, occasional surging Mist or enveloping Mist. You're throwing out renewing Mist on everybody and really uplifting to keep everybody topped off. So that's the stance of the Wise Serpent. Now the new ability, the stance of the Spirited Crane, is one I'm really excited about. Basically they took all of the fist weaving, damage dealing, eminence healing and put it into its own stance. So in this stance you're going to have 100% of your spell power is now attack power, still using mana. And while you're in this stance you gain that eminence ability, causing you to heal the lowest health target within 20 yards for 35% of the damage you deal. So that paired with the statue, which grants another 35% of the damage you deal as healing, is a total of 70% of the damage you deal goes out as heals to the lowest health party or raid member. So pretty sweet there. If you guys remember, it's currently a total of 50% damage in healing, or healing from damage. So excited about that increase and making that a little bit more viable. So let's talk about what you have access to in each one of these stances. So I already talked a little bit about the Wise Serpent. You've got your normal heals that you guys are used to, but one thing that you're probably not used to is the fact that all of your melee damaging abilities are now gone. You don't have Jab, you don't have Tiger Palm, all those things. You can't do melee damage basically. So any damage you're dealing with that level 2 healing damage ability, or level 2 talent I should say, or you're using your Cracking Jade Lightning. Cracking, you know what I'm talking about. Crackling Jade Lightning, there we go. So you're going to be using that as your primary damage dealing ability if you actually are dealing damage in that Wise Serpent stance. So fairly typical there. Everything changes though when you go to the stance of the Spirited Crane. You still have access to that level 2 talent, still have access to Expel Harm and Surging Mist, but basically everything else has changed. You no longer have access to Renewing Mist, Soothing Mist, Uplift, Enveloping Mist. All of that you cannot cast in this stance. You'll have to switch back over to WoD Serpent for that. But you do gain access to all of those melee damaging abilities again, and they've now included the Rising Sun Kick ability. If you guys are familiar, Windwalker monks were the only ones that had this before. Deals a pretty good amount of damage for 2 chi, and then also increases the damage you deal to whatever target and targets around that target. You deal for, I think it's 15 seconds, something like that. So pretty sweet. It's helped with the rotation for fist weaving. You're not just casting the same 2 spells over and over and over again. So we've got our jab, Tiger Palm, we've got our Blackout Kick, and now we have Rising Sun Kick in there as well. So a few abilities actually change depending on what stance you're in. One of those is that Crackling Jade Lightning ability, your ranged attack, and the other one is your Spinning Crane Kick. So Crackling Jade Lightning, actually pretty sweet for currently, is probably not ever going to be cast if you're in the Spirited Crane stance, that melee damage ability stance. Makes sense as it's a ranged attack. It costs so much mana in this stance. It costs almost 14,000 mana. I'm currently sitting at 65,000 at level 92. So what is that? Roughly a fifth of your mana is going to go out every time you cast that. So not really viable to cast that. However, I will say this. If you channel it for its full duration, you will gain 4 chi every single time if you're in this stance, which that's pretty sweet. If for some reason you had plenty of mana and you just needed chi like right now, you could do that. The other one is the Spinning Crane Kick. Spinning Crane Kick does not deal any healing, direct healing, when you're in Stance of the Spirited Crane. Now you're still going to have that eminence where 70% of your damage that you're dealing is going out to low health part of your raid members, but it's not going to do any direct healing. And one other change, doesn't really change, just actually increases, is your Surging Mist deals, I don't know, roughly 20% more healing when you're in this stance than it does if you're in the WoD Serpent stance. Not sure why. It doesn't really say anything about doing that, but the numbers are there. I've played around with it. They actually do heal more when you're in, or Surging Mist does heal more when you're in this stance. So move over to that WoD Serpent stance, the one you guys are used to. Your Spinning Crane Kick, just like it does today, it's going to do the damage, it's going to do the healing. You don't have that eminence, so it's doing both at the same time. And that Crackling Jade Lightning costs no mana and doesn't gain as much chi. Actually, I don't think it gains any chi from what I've seen. And it's going to gain you 1 stack of Mana Tea if you channel it for its full duration. So those are some of the changes to the abilities and kind of what you have access to in each one of those stance. Next thing I want to talk about real quick is your level 100 talents. Currently the limit on leveling up is 92, but because it's the highest level, Blizzard's given us access to those level 100 talents right now. And so I want to check some of those out. Let me actually do Chi Explosion last, because that one is definitely the most complicated one. Let's start with Breath of the Serpent. So this one's pretty sweet. It's a fun ability. Don't love how positioning required it is. So basically your Jade Serpent statue is going to breathe out a healing fire towards you. Wherever you go, it's going to follow you and do some healing on you. So we'll check that out here. So let me cast that, and it's going to follow me around, do a bunch of healing wherever I go. And I believe it's a 30-yard range, if I'm not mistaken. I really like that graphic, by the way. That's pretty sweet. So let's see. It's a okay. So it's a 20-yard range. Does quite a bit of healing. I know the numbers are a little bit hard to figure out if that's actually doing much healing because of the stat squash and all of that. But trust me, it is quite a bit of healing. It can keep a party alive in a dungeon when everybody's taking a ton of damage. But you know, it's it's a little weird because it has to be in the right place. You have to be in the right place. If for some reason you're over in La La Land and the rest of your group's on the other side, it's going to be worthless. So although it does a ton of damage, or a ton of healing rather, not my favorite out of the level 100 talents for sure. So let's go ahead and check out one of the other ones. Oh, and of course it's going to be on cooldown for another 24 seconds. Does anybody have a good joke they can tell for 24 seconds? No? Okay. So let's see if there was anything else here. Don't think so. We're just going to have to wait it out, guys. Wait it out. 9 seconds. Come on. Come on. Should have started with the other two that don't have a cooldown on him. Alright, so I think we're good on that. The next one is Path of the Mist. I could see this being somewhat useful in raids, depending on, it would have to be very specific mechanics that you needed to move around a ton for and move back and forth for. However, I do think it's going to be incredible for PvP. Basically what this talent does is you're just dropping out healing spheres behind you every 3 yards. That means every 3 yards you move, you drop a new healing sphere. They only stay around for 15 seconds, whereas your other ones are a minute, 3 minutes, depending on whether you have that glyphed or not. But every 3 yards, you're going to have one of those. Now, this only happens when you're in combat, so let me go ahead and hit homeboy here. Oh, wait, no melee abilities. So let me run around. And as you guys can see, just a big old circle of healing spheres. So the reason I say this is going to be OP for PvP, so you can just run around. You got your twos partner just following you, chasing people and just getting healed. It costs no mana. You don't have to cast any abilities, and you can just go around and round and round forever. As long as you're moving, you're dropping spheres. So pretty sweet there. And one actually ability that you have both with, here, let me kill this guy, get him, or he's just gonna chow down on me, man. That's brutal. I'm gonna switch over to Wise Serpent, or Spirited Crane rather. Do a lot more damage that way. So pretty sweet. I don't see that being super useful in PvE, but there may be a boss or two where you, like I said, are moving back and forth, and that could be useful. So the last one, which is super confusing to look at, but actually makes a lot of sense once you use it. It's basically, so it's called Chi Explosion. It replaces your Blackout Kick. It is castable within both stances. It's a 40-yard range ability. And it does different things depending on which stance you're in. So, stance of the Wise Serpent, this ability is going to consume up to 4 chi. So it doesn't care how much chi you have, it's going to use all of it. So you can cast it at 1 chi, you can cast it at 4 chi. It's going to use all of your available chi and do an increased amount of healing dependent upon how much chi that you have. So if you only have 1 chi, it's going to heal an ally, whoever you have targeted, for 3,800 plus 3,800 per chi consumed. So this is kind of a cascading thing. So if you have 2 chi, it's going to do the 2 chi ability as well as the 1 chi ability. If you have 3 chi, it's going to do the 3 chi, the 2 chi, and the 1 chi. Goes down all the way down. So that cascading effect, it's going to cast all of them. So for 1 chi, it's basically going to do, what is that? We've got almost 8,000 or 8,000 healing, target within 40 yards. If you've got 2 chi, when you cast that, it's going to cause an additional 60% of that healing to happen over 6 seconds. So you're going to do that initial heal, and then you're also going to put a hot on whoever you're casting on. If you cast this while you have 3 chi, this healing is going to be divided among all allies within 8 yards of your target. So that's pretty sweet stuff there. Put hots on everybody. Pretty good burst of healing. Does cost 3 chi, but it's a pretty good burst there. Now, if you're going to cast this with 4 chi, I love this. It summons 8 healing spheres in an 8-yard radius ring around the target that lasts for 15 seconds. So It's going to do all those first three things I talked about, as well as summon a ton of healing spheres around you. So I'll show you guys that in this stance. So use my Chi Brew to get 4 Chi here, and I cast that. Oh man, I cast it on my statue. But as you can tell over the around the target, we've got little healing spheres all around now. So every time you cast that with 4 Chi, you're just going to dump more healing spheres around there. So pretty sweet there. Really good healing ability. Now granted, it does take a lot of Chi depending if you want it to have a good effect or a large effect. But definitely worth playing around with. Now in stance of the Spirited Crane, this is where it gets interesting. So this is going to consume up to 4 Chi, same thing, 1 to 4 Chi. It's going to cascade and go all the way down for as many Chi that you have. For 1 Chi, you're going to deal nature damage equal to 1,300 plus 1,300. Basically, it's the same as the other one. It's just damage instead of healing, but you've got that eminence ability. If you have 2 Chi, it's going to do that damage and heal yourself for a couple thousand plus a couple thousand per Chi. So if you're using 2 at least, that's going to be a little over 7,000 healing, as well as dealing that damage. Now if you use 3 Chi, similar to the Wise Serpent stance, it's going to heal everybody around you. Now granted, if you're in this stance, you're going to be in melee, so you're going to be wanting to heal that group. It's going to heal everybody around you in 8 yards, within 8 yards. And then if you use 4 Chi, same thing. It's going to summon 8 healing spheres in an 8-yard radius ring around you. And it's always going to be around you because you're the one casting it. It won't be around the target that you cast it on. So, pretty sweet ability. This is definitely my favorite one so far. I love the options that you have there. The fact that you can just cast it with 1 Chi if you're just trying to deal a little damage or a little healing. And then if you're just got a ton of Chi, nothing else to do with it at that time, just throw down a bunch of healing spheres. Now one ability I hadn't talked about that you get that pairs really well with that if you're casting it for 4 Chi, and a new ability that I'm really excited about for Mistweavers in general, is this Detonate Chi ability. And what this does is all those little green healing spheres all over the ground that people are used to just seeing and nobody remembers to run over them to get healed. This detonates every single one of those, causing each one of them to heal someone within 12 yards for 50% of the effect. So if you run over it, you're still getting that 100% effect, but if you've got a ton on the ground, everybody just took a bunch of damage, you can detonate that and it'll heal everybody around them. So this pairs really well. Let me try to do this again I'm going to select myself. If you're casting this Chi Explosion on yourself, you get those spheres all around you, and then you immediately cast this Detonate Chi, and you've got a really nice heal for a lot of people around you. So works really well, good synergy there. So good job, Blizzard, with all of that. One other thing I forgot to mention, if you're in Wise Serpent, this Chi Explosion has a little over a second cast time on it. If you're in stance of the Spirited Crane, it's got no cast time. It's going to be an instant cast there. So those are all the changes to Mistweavers that I've seen so far. I'll definitely update you guys if I find out anything else. The last thing I just wanted to mention is that I've gone through a couple dungeons. I've done the Eminence Healing or the Fist Weaving in the stance of the Spirited Crane, and it works really, really, really well. And one of the reasons that it works so well is a change that they made to a passive that Mistweavers have. And let me try to find it in here so I can read exactly what it says for you guys. Not seeing it. Let's check it out. Let me just hit this guy. So, alright, what is that called again? Vital Mist, there we go. So it reduces the cast time and mana cost of your next Surging Mist by 20%, and that stacks up to 5 times to be instant cast and cost no mana. And the reason why that's currently in game, people are doing that, but the reason why this is so beneficial, and you're going to be casting Surging Mist a lot more, is that currently you have to cast Jab and then Tiger Balm. So for every Tiger Palm you hit, you get 1 stack of that. So Jab, Tiger Palm, Jab, Tiger Palm. So you're using 10 GCDs to get that going on a target currently, whereas this one now is based off of how much chi you've spent. So 1 stack for every chi that you spent. So let me hit this wolf once more, and now I'm already at 5 stacks just from doing that. So 5 stacks free cast. It's going to be instant free, and with the talent for Glyph of the Surging Mist, this is just going to heal the lowest health target rather than you having to target anybody. So you can stay focused on damaging and then just throw that out. Instant cast heal. Running through, not having to worry about targeting on players and just focusing on damage, because that's really what you're healing with in that Stance of the Spirited Crane. So that's all I've got for Mistweaver Monks. Again, I'll update you guys if I find anything else out. Hope you'd enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, share with your friends and whatnot. If you guys have any suggestions for videos you'd like to see, classes that you want to know about, I can try to check them out and make a video. I'd love to get that for you. Thanks so much for watching.